Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, if you don't know me, my name's Ryan Jorgensen. I'm Wayne's son. Um, for some of you, this is about the third or fourth time you've had to hear me conduct or talk at a funeral. So I apologize. We're running out of men in the family to do this. Um, so my sweet mom and sisters are getting short into the stick on it for sure. Uh, we're a pretty informal family, as you can tell. We're getting into these gravesite ones. Sorry, we don't have enough seats and we're not doing great at it, but it means something for us to do the service here next to my dad's parents, Mamie and Ted, alongside Shelly, Scott, and Neil. Their three kids. So hang tight with us a little bit today, as every time I remember my dad, I'm mourning my two brothers as well. Because about every thought, every memory I have with my dad, they're right there with me. And so it's a little hard to just memorialize T. Wayne without remembering Scott, ticking him off, or him adoring Neil for everything he ever did. Um, but we'd like to thank you all for coming out. It means a lot to us to see faces and friends and people we haven't seen for a long time. Uh, it was time for my dad to go. Uh, and we're all finding peace with it, as hard as it is. And we're all exercising as much faith as we can to realize he's happy. He's free of some of his temporal with holdbacks and his physical and mental challenges he was facing lately. So we'll try to get through this quickly. We're going to start with a prayer by Elijah Ander, his grandson. I'm probably the grandson most like Wayne in every way. We love him. Then we'll have a eulogy by Mackenzie Jorgensen, her granddaughter. And then we'll have some thoughts by Alex Oreo, son-in-law. And you'll have to work with his accent, but we love him. Just a quick thought, and I'll share a few throughout later, but my friend Chris Dimmler showed up today, and we had a lot of memories with Dad. And I thought it was kind of fitting, the memory shared with me right out of the get-go that I'd forgot, that as it pertains to Alex and the accent, because I think it was when Chris and I was going on a mission or came back and we spoke Spanish, my dad used to always say he could speak Spanish. I don't know if he ever did this with you, Alex. And he says, all you got to do is spell socks. S-O-C-K-S. S-O-C-K-S. I told you I can speak Spanish. And he probably said that after Chris reminded me for years. One thing you know about T. Wayne, once he thought he had a good joke, he carried it for a long time. So anyway, we'll get to that point, and then I'll jump back up and start a little memory shares. Elijah.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this beautiful Wednesday afternoon we have to honor the life of our loved Theodore Wayne Jorgensen. We thank Thee for blessing us with his life and the example he continually plays in ours. We thank Thee for the safety provided to those who have traveled to be here with us today. As we are gathered here, we ask that Thou will bring us comfort as we reflect on the life of this great man and the legacy he provided. We ask that Thou will aid the speakers and the music heard today, that the words expressed on his behalf may engrave a lasting presence in our hearts. These and the things according to the will Thou hast created, we ask Thee, in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Sorry, I might need to cry for a second. Um, Theodore Wayne Jorgensen, known as Wayne, passed away peacefully at his home in Smithfield, Utah, on September 21st, 2024, at the age of 83. Born on January 12th, 1941, to Vivian Theodore and Mamie Mae Hunsaker Jorgensen at their family home in Amalga, Utah. Wayne grew up on the family farm alongside his beloved sister Janice. His childhood was shaped by hard work on the farm, where he later took over operations after purchasing it from his father. Wayne attended Summit Elementary and graduated from North Cache High School in 1959. From 1960 to 1962, he served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Northern California mission. Upon returning, Wayne pursued higher education at Utah State University, earning a bachelor's degree in elementary education. He went on to dedicate 30 years of service as a teacher, with positions at Lewiston Elementary, Summit Elementary, and as the homebound teacher for the Cache County School District. In 1966, Wayne met Donna Kaiser on a blind date, and their love story unfolded beautifully. They were married on June 3rd, 1966, in the Logan Temple, and were blessed with 6 children: Lisa, Shelley, Scott, Ryan, Neil, and Jill. Wayne and Donna built a home, raising their family first in Amalga and later in River Heights. A lifelong sports enthusiast, Wayne especially loved baseball and was a dedicated Yankees fan. He pitched softball for Amalga for many years, often hitting a home run or two during games. In 1989, he and Donna purchased La Spiga Bakery on Church Street in Logan, where Wayne's unique touch included selling both croissants and golf balls, which he collected during his long walks around First Dam and the Logan Golf Course. He delivered newspapers for much of his adult life, covering routes for the Herald Journal, Tribune, and Deseret News throughout Cache Valley. Wayne fulfilled many church callings throughout his life. He loved to prepare and to teach. He also loved serving 3 years as an officiator at the Logan Temple. In 1996, Wayne and Donna moved to Richmond, living there until 2014. Their journey together then took them to St. George, Clearfield, Logan, and ultimately Smithfield. Wayne was known for his ever-present smile, warm chuckle, and a boundless curiosity that often led him to ask endless questions. He adored his wife Donna, who lovingly cared for him as his health began to decline. Even as he struggled with memory loss, Wayne's cheerful personality never waned. He is preceded in death by his parents, his sister, Janice and Dale Andrus, his daughter Shelley, and his sons Scott and Neil. Wayne is survived by his devoted wife Donna, his daughter Lisa and Kurt Ander, his son Ryan and Tina Jorgensen, and his daughter Jill and Alex Oreo. He also leaves behind 14 cherished grandchildren: Samuel, McKay, and Elijah Ander, Josh and Hobie Jorgensen, Cody and Mackenzie Jorgensen and Kylie Anderson, Quinton and Kayla Jorgensen, and Hunter, Dax, and Tad Drysdale, and Thea Oreo.
Hello, everybody. My accent it's a little hard, so good luck to everybody with that. Um, I'm Alex. I have had the privilege to be Wayne's son-in-law. Uh, it's been really a pleasure. Um, I want to share a couple memories I had with him. First one is when I went to ask him his blessing to marry Jill, and his first comment was like, "Are you sure she will say yes?" It's kind of like, yes, she did. She said yes. That was a funny thing. Then once he was having a hard time leaving home, and I took him for breakfast, and he was really surprised about it. He was like, I think he was thinking that it was kind of like big new coming through. But we had a good time and we enjoyed this half hour together alone. So, as we know, life is made by moments, special moments that we share with the people we love. Those little memories make our life. Every minute that we share, every special things we have with the people we love. So it's a little hard to say goodbye. Of course, Wayne is of course it's going to be hard to say goodbye. But we have to remember that we have part of him in our hearts, and all these memories, all these times we have together, it makes our life and our memory from him. I want to express how grateful I am because of him and mom. I have Jill, and thanks to Jill, I have the beautiful family that opened the arms to me, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys. So I'm super grateful for Wayne. Uh, thank you so much for all you, mom, and Wayne give us to us. If anybody feels that has some memories and want to share with all of us, it's going to be amazing. We will appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, as Alex kicked off and said, it's hard. It's hard to either find people that want to speak or willing to speak. But I think with Grandpa, Dad, husband Wayne, there were a lot of us that wanted to share a few things. So we thought the best would be for us to just do a quick open mic. It's open to everybody. All of you that maybe knew him, spent time with him years ago. We'd love to hear any story, any quick thought, any share, and then we'll wrap it up with some music. I'll get up and share my final thoughts before we jump into Hunter, his grandson, and I, some friend of the family, sing a pretty song. So I'll open this up to everybody to come up as they want to share any thoughts with us.
Hi everyone. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Ryan and Tina's youngest, and T. Wayne was my grandpa. This last weekend, my grandma asked me if my grandpa had ever told me that he loved me. I couldn't recall a time that he had, but he didn't have to because I always knew that he did. Losing a grandparent might just be a part of life, but it's a part I don't think you were ever really ready for. This last weekend was one of the hardest I've experienced, but also one of the most special. I've got to spend a lot of time reminiscing on some of my favorite times with my family and my grandpa. One memory that came to mind was when me and my family paid a visit to my grandpa Kaiser in his nursing home. My grandma and grandpa had come with us, and we were all sitting around the table. My grandpa Kaiser was talking with us and said, "Oh, how I love my grandkids," and looked at us with a big smile. So my grandpa Wayne turned and looked at him and said, "They're my grandkids." And if you knew my grandpa, you knew he was not a man of many words, especially when it came to expressing his love. So this moment made me feel so proud and will always make me smile. My grandpa used to always play a game called Peanut Butter and Jelly. We would take their couch cushions and put one of us in between them, usually my brother, and my grandpa would launch us onto those couch cushions. My grandma would come in the room and tell us to put her cushions back, but right when she would leave, my grandpa would tell us to hurry and get them back out, and so we would. And for some reason, when I was younger, I thought Bobby was the coolest name, and for whatever reason, I decided that is what I'd be calling my grandpa from now on. My grandpa told me that if I was calling him Bobby, he would start calling me Barbara.
And so he did. And when my grandma finally explained to me that she had a brother, Bobby, I decided that was good enough and went back to saying Grandpa. As my grandpa's health and memory started to decline, my sister came up with a handshake to do with him so that he could always practice using his memory when he saw her. I thought this was a great idea and I wanted to do the same thing. The problem was, every time I saw my grandpa, I also could not remember the handshake. So we attempted a few times and then decided that could just be his and Kenzie's thing. When I got married this time last year, I felt very sad knowing that my grandpa wouldn't be able to make it to my wedding. I wasn't really sure if he even remembered that I was getting married. And the wedding wasn't far away. I'd gone up to visit my grandparents, and I had forgotten to put on my ring. Somehow my grandpa noticed and asked me why I wasn't wearing my wedding ring. I don't know how he noticed or remembered, but he'll never know how much that small moment meant to me. Even a year later, I have failed to legally change my last name to match my husband's. And while I blame it on not really knowing how to do that, I think a big part of me has an attachment to my last name, which might be silly because it's just a name, and I'll always be a Jorgensen, and I'm super excited to join the Anderson family. But a big part of me is just not ready to let being a Jorgensen go. My grandma and grandpa sure did a great job of raising a family that knows how to come together when we need it. My grandparents, as well as my parents, have done such a great job at creating a family that I am so proud to be part of. I am so grateful to be a Jorgensen. Visiting Logan has been some of my favorite times, and Logan will forever be a second home to me. But without my grandpa, it will never feel quite the same. While I am sad, I will always be grateful for the 20 years I got to share with my grandpa. I can only imagine the great joy my grandpa felt when he was able to embrace his daughter Shelley and two of his boys, Scott and Neil, as well as his parents and his sweet sister Janice. To my Aunt Jill, Lisa, and my dad, I am so sorry for the loss of your dad, and I hope you know how much I all admire your strength. And to my grandma, can't imagine the loss you were feeling, and thank you for taking such good care of my grandpa. I know that he loved you so much. To everyone here, I know my grandpa had love for you all, even though he might have always said it. On my final day with my grandpa, I stood in his room hugging my dad. Both in tears, I told my dad how scared I was of saying goodbye. I held my grandpa's hand and was able to say my last few words and tell him that goodbye. But Grandpa, I want to tell you that that was not our goodbye. This is not a goodbye, but a see you later. I love you.
Sorry. I'm Tina, for those that don't know me. I'm married to Ryan. And, oh, I don't know what to say after Kylie with all that, but I remember a couple of days ago, I was talking to Ryan. I'm trying to think, what am I going to say? So I was looking at poems and just some inspiration to help me. And then I just got so bombarded with it. Like, I don't know what I'm going to say. So hopefully you understand, everything will make sense, because it's probably just all just going to come out. But I remember the first time when I met Wayne and Donna when it was just dating Ryan and stuff, and I don't think that me and Wayne really had, even when we got married, like a heart to heart like conversation. But I he would just do little things, and I think he liked to kind of like tease me a lot or make fun of me, either or. But and I would laugh, so I think it just egged him on more. But I lost my parents when I was young, and Donna and Wayne, knew that. And Wayne would just ask me questions about my family, and especially my parents, and where my mom was from, and my dad. And I just kept saying, like, I don't know, because I lost him when I was 10. So I didn't really know all this information. But I did have genealogy, and I told him I have genealogy and stuff like that. And so he's like, well, I should go look, whatever. And so next time I see him, he's asking me questions again. And I'm like, I don't know, but it says I have some ancestors from Utah. And Wayne, like, for the longest time, he would go to the Logan Cemetery, he would go to Smithfield, and he found my ancestors for me, and which I thought was amazing. And then he also would drive to Idaho when he found my grandpa's brother that was buried there that I had no clue. And I just thought, man, here's this guy. I mean, I don't know if I would do that, go with the cemeteries, which I thought people might think he's kind of weird going to the cemeteries, but I just thought that was just really neat that he did that for me, to give me a sense of who I was. Because when you lose somebody, you kind of feel like you lose your identity. And so when Wayne did that and all the work you did, it just really meant a lot to me. And I will always be so grateful for that he did that. And I think about my kids and memories that they have with their grandpa. And even if they don't remember, because they're, when you're little, you don't remember everything. But I was just glad that they had a grandparents to be there for them. And they have these memories they can share, hopefully, with their grandkids or their kids. I remember, this is kind of like a story I remember of Wayne. It always just kind of cracks me up. I was pregnant and I had to fly. Me and Ryan moved to Mexico for his job, and I came out 2 months because I was going to have the baby here, and Ryan had to go back to Mexico and work. For some reason, Donna let Wayne drive us. And at that time, not Donna, but Wayne, I didn't know this, but he couldn't see. Sometimes he'd say he'd get double vision or something like that. But I remember Ryan, I made him sit in the front and I sat in the back, and he would go, are you okay? Can you see? Can you drive us? And he's like, oh, yeah, I got it, whatever. So we're driving and stuff, and we dropped Ryan off, and I went to hug Ryan, and Ryan's like, you might want to drive back. And I was like, okay, and so I was trying to get to the front, but Wayne wouldn't open the door for me. And I was like, what? And he's like, oh, go ahead, just sit in the back. And I was like, okay. So I sat in the back the whole way, and I thought, oh, this is kind of funny. And then I had to go to the bathroom really bad. And he's like, you can just hold it. We're almost home. But then he decides to stop at the Smithfield, some hardware store on Main Street. And so I went to get out of the car to go with them, and I couldn't get out because it was locked. And I said, Wayne, the door's locked. He goes, that's okay. You would slow me down anyhow. So he took off and went to the store. So I sat there. And then he took forever, and I had to go to the restroom. And then he comes back, and I said, what did you buy? He goes, nothing. I didn't find anything. And he got back in the car, and we went home. And it was the longest trip ever. But he would just do little things like that to me. And I don't know. Like I said, Wayne, we didn't really have a good, heart to heart conversation about anything, but you could feel his love and his little smirks he would do, and his face expressions, especially if Donna was getting after him. He would make these looks when she wasn't looking. And of course we would laugh, and Donna would be like, stop that, and all I can say is Wayne was a really good guy. He let everybody. He was so nice to my family too, my siblings, and so was Donna. And I'm gonna miss him so much. And my heart goes out to Donna and my husband, and my sister-in-laws, and all the grandkids. Because I know it's so hard, but I keep telling myself maybe we just got to think of the memories that we have about Grandpa and just keep them alive and share those with other people, and hopefully we can touch other people's hearts too.
I don't have too much prepared to say, but I just want to say a few things about my grandpa. Um, he didn't speak too much, but when he did, it typically was funny. Um, when Donna and Wayne were living in Clearfield, close to our home, I would always stop in there to get a snack after school on my walk home. And every time I would go into the fridge, my grandpa would say, "Look at that, Donna. He's back in the fridge again. He's eating more food again." And and when you guys moved into our basement, he didn't tease me about it as much, and I was grateful for that. But he just always was a jokester, and thought about some memories from my young life with my grandpa, and I just wanted to say he was very service oriented. Um, he taught me and most of the grandkids how to tie their shoes, and he also, when I was younger, took me to the Richmond Diamond, and he would throw some pitches to me, and he'd let me hit them. And he also would serve my mom and dad with mowing our lawn and helping us with our garden, and he just always was so service oriented, and it was just another way of the many ways that he expressed his love for his family. Um, Close to the time of his passing, even with all the many medical struggles, dementia that he struggled from, he still without fail tended to be in a happy or good mood, at least at the times when I saw him. And I truthfully want to believe it's because he had such a wonderful family around him that kept him so pleasant. We are so saddened to see you go. Look, Kylie is right. It's not goodbye. It's see you later. And we're so grateful to have this family that you have created for us. And we love them so much and cherish every memory that we have with you and this family. And I love you, Grandpa.
I'd just like to share a memory I have with my grandpa from probably a few years ago. My grandmother was on a trip. I think it was Fort Hall, and and I came home after school and went to sit with my grandpa for a few days. And I came home and I made him watch all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies in a row. And I don't think he had the guts to stand up to me and say that we should watch something else. So I think that was pretty funny. So I just like to share that memory.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Bingham, and I grew up in Amalga in the 70s. I was a teenager. My memory of Wayne and Donna and the rest of the adults in Amalga, I'm very grateful for their example, their testimony, and their knowledge of the gospel because they helped my parents teach me the gospel and become something. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for their example and their friendship to me as I was growing up. And my greatest memory was on the 24th of July, Amalga started celebrating that. And we'd go to the park, which the youth picked up rocks to prepare that park and make it what it is today. But on the 24th of July, after lunch for the activities, the youth would play the adults in softball. And Wayne was a good pitcher, and he was also a very good ball hitter. But the there was probably 50 families in Amalga, and a small community. But when there was a problem in their life, like a fire on with or a death, they would all come and support each other, and that's really important that we have. And just wanted to leave that with you.
So I'm David Hanson. I grew up in Amalga also, and I used to know Wayne from a long time ago when we used to buy hay from him. And so I didn't really have a lot to do with him until I got old enough to start playing church sports, where the best of Wayne came out. Sometimes, under his breath, he would say a few things. But so not only did I play church basketball with him, I played church softball. And then we started playing in the city leagues in Smithfield, and we had a really good team. And one night, Wayne was pitching, and they hit the ball right back up the middle. And when he turned his head, it hit him in the ear. So he has blood dripping out his ear. And I was shortstop. He says, Wayne, do you need me to pitch? Nope, I'm not going to let him think I'm hurt. So I said, okay, that's fine with me. And so on and on, I played with him in sports a lot. Actually, he used to be on our bowling team for a few years. He was a semi-decent bowler. And then, of course, my dad coached the Smithfield Blue Sox, which Wayne always helped in the crow's nest, either keeping score or the scoreboard or the book. And that's where I met Donna's family, is Bobby used to pitch for them and her dad. And so over the years, I feel like I've moved with Wayne and Donna, going from Amalga to River Heights and Richmond and St. George and Clearfield, Logan up here, and finally Smithfield. I've been to them all. So I enjoy visiting with Donna and Wayne all the time, even the last, since they've been in Smithfield. I try to stop once a month, and I'm pretty good about that. But anyway, Wayne and Donna were together, and I enjoyed both of them. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Can't look at you or cry. I'm Sherry Housley. I'm Janice's youngest daughter. And I have wonderful memories growing up as with Wayne as an uncle, except for he was I don't ever remember him not teasing me ever in my life. I remember as a little girl me laying on the floor of Grandma and Grandpa's house when they lived on the farm, and Wayne over top of me, and he had a talent of letting just enough spit come out and then drawing it back in. And I was screaming, and Grandma would come in with a fly swatter and chase him around the house. And that's my very first memory of my uncle. But growing up, my siblings and I only had one uncle and aunt, and it was Wayne and Donna. And so we had a magical childhood that every holiday, every birthday, we would get together when we were little, and we would have both sides of my family. We'd have my aunt and uncle and my cousins, and we would have grandma and grandpa from both sides of my family, and that doesn't happen too often. So I had a magical childhood with these people. I remember when Wayne married Donna, and she was the most beautiful person in the world to me. I adored her. I don't know if you remember this, but I got to sleep over at your house one night. And Wayne let me sleep in the bed with him. I was little enough. And I just stayed awake all night looking at Donna. She was so beautiful. I wanted to look just like her when I grew up. And I loved going over there even as a teenager after I got married. Of course, I got married when I was a teenager. But we would go to Wayne and Donna's house, and my favorite thing was to watch family movies. He loved to show us family movies, and he had a movie camera from the time we were little. And to see that memories of growing up with those cousins, and you forget them from time to time. So I'm sure you still have them somewhere, all those movies. I just loved my Uncle Wayne. He was a very special person.
Sorry, I'm up here again. I just felt like I couldn't leave without saying something. Um, I love my grandpa very much, and Logan was a second home to me. Um, I loved my memories as a child. My dad and mom, they'd always take us up to visit our grandparents, and I just got such a strong bond to Logan and the family we had here. They'd always take us out to Amalga every now and then and just show us how they lived. And I don't know why, but I wish I got that. I wish I grew up in Amalga because the stories they would tell were so fun, and I was just always so jealous of it. But just the other day, me and my dad were reminiscing. It's kind of goes with what Hunter said. When I was a little girl, I was pretty fat, okay, and Grandpa too couldn't not tease me. So when I'd be in the kitchen, he'd ask me what I was doing in the kitchen again, or I'd be eating a snack and he'd be like, "Oh, you got another piece of food in your mouth?" And you would think that would hurt my feelings, but I just was thrilled my grandpa was joking with me and hanging out with me. But I see that's how my dad is. Not that he calls me fat, but he likes to tease. But that's just kind of how our family is. That's how we know we love each other, and I think that's a really good thing to be able to do. But I was so glad when I was young that I felt like Logan was a second home to me because it made me want to come to Utah State for college. And because of that, I'll forever be grateful because that was 4 years I got to live up here and be so close to my grandpa. And I would try and visit my grandparents as much as I could. And it was always such a relief from my busy schedule, and it just was so peaceful for me, and it was so fun. Um, but when he started having his health problems and he'd have his strokes and he'd be in his hospital, I kind of made it my life mission that I wanted to help him remember things. So I thought that I'd create a handshake with him. That every time I see him, I would do this handshake with him. And it was something so simple that I didn't think would mean a lot to me, but we did it every time we saw each other. And he never forgot it, no matter what he was dealing with or going through. And I remember he'd have a couple strokes after that, and I'd see him in the hospital, and I was so scared that I'd get there and he wouldn't be able to do it. But he never forgot it, and it just means so much to me because that really made me feel like he loves me so much. And upon his decline, when he was getting ready to go, we saw him on Sunday, the week prior, when he had just got admitted to hospice, and we did our handshake there, and I'm so thankful for Jill because she recorded it, and that's the last time I ever got to do my handshake with my grandpa because we came up one more time. I was going to Washington the weekend of his passing, and he didn't have a very good day when we were visiting him, and I was too scared to do it because I didn't want the last thing to remember him would be for him to not be able to remember it. But I sadly want to close about talking about his passing because I think it ended up being pretty special. I was in Washington and my dad called me and told me that my grandpa hadn't woke up yet and that we think he was gonna go pretty soon. And I was so torn. I didn't know what to do. I was with my boyfriend. We were visiting his family, and I wanted to stay so bad because we never see his family, and I felt bad. We had just got to Washington that day, but I knew I needed to go see my grandpa, and my boyfriend was so kind to me, and he drove me home, and we drove all night, and it was about 4:30 when we got to Logan in the morning, and I was gonna stay at my sister's house in Tremont, but my dad texted me and was like, "I think you need to come. I'd hate for you to drive all this way and have it be for nothing." And so we went straight there, and when we got there, Grandpa was still hanging in there, and I got to visit with my grandma for an hour or so, my dad and mom. Then my dad was trying to take a nap before he needed to give Grandpa his medicine again, and I just felt this urge that I needed to stay with my grandma, And so I stayed with my grandma and we were in the room just talking. And we started talking about what we think will happen when we go. How we think if we just go up there, if people come and get us. We were just kind of talking about it, and we started talking about Neil and Scott and Shelly, and we were talking about how we wish so bad and we hope that they come and get Grandpa. And very, very shortly after that, Grandpa passed away, and I truly believe that his kids came and got him. And I'm not the most religious person, and I'm sure some of you are the same. And so I think you can kind of view that two ways, whether they did truly come and get him, or it's such a happy coincidence that when we got done talking about his kids coming to get him, that he passed away. So I just kind of felt like I wanted everybody to know that I think he left a really good time because we were talking about his kids coming to get him. So I love my grandpa very much, and I love all of you too. So
If anyone doesn't know who I am, I'm Jill. I'm the baby of a family. Something that's been on my mind this past week is after my dad passed away. As I know, it's probably a terrible thing for me to say, but I looked at my sister and I said, "You got to have a dad so much longer than I did." I really felt sad about that. And then my mom made a comment. Yeah, and it's too bad because Wayne was sick when a lot of Jill's life. And I've been pondering about that. And I actually came to a really special place as I thought about my life with my dad. Because I thought, when I was 11, my dad was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, which is a neurological disorder. And then he began to take a medication called prednisone to treat that. And then he became diabetic. And sometimes then it just seemed like left and right, oh, dad had kidney stones last night, or, there were like little things going on that I didn't even understand were going on. What that meant. I was young enough and too into myself, but it made me feel nervous. And I wasn't quite sure what would happen. But the good thing is, my dad was a cat. And somehow he managed to be a cat to have 9 lives. I don't know how he just kept coming back after thing after thing. Well, I didn't get to have dad as long as Lisa, but because I was the baby, I got to have a different type of relationship with dad, and that allowed me to have more time with dad alone. And when my babies were little and I lived in Richmond, his kidneys started to get worse. And he just wasn't being as active. It just felt a little bit like he was giving up. And I remember saying, well, he needs to have something to live for, something to go do. He used to be a farmer, a school teacher, do service, all these things. And he just wasn't, seems like he was having much focus. And at the time, we had started the boys' dad's business. And I had 2 babies at home. And we had horses and we had dogs and things. And I said, what if I asked dad to come help me? And so he planted a garden at my house too for himself, and he started to help me feed the horses and let the dogs out every day. And I found he started to then start walking a lot, and he started to do more things. And so I always joke with my mom, oh, I saved dad. But the truth is, he really saved me because I was having a really hard time. And it was so nice having this little servant show up every day that I didn't mean it to go like that. But it felt like that a little bit because he was up there every single day in the garden, taking care of my animals. And he came to love my dogs like I did. Once when had my first dog in high school, he got a call from someone and they said it had got hit on the highway. And he came and got me and asked if I wanted to go with him. And he scooped up the dog for me and put it in a white sheet. And we came home and he cried with me. And he wrote me a letter. It's the only letter I have from my dad because I think he was just such a country boy that loved dogs and he loved my dogs. And he expressed how sorry he felt about this loss I was experiencing and that he loved me, and I'm so grateful he did that because I have that. As time went on, no matter where I lived, my dad came to my house and he took care of me. He mowed my lawn, he took out my garbages. Like, I'm sorry, people, but my dad didn't tell me I loved him, but I got like my personal attendee every day helping me. And because of that, he got to be in my life more. And when I went through my divorce, he was the one that was there every day, showing up, helping me because he was coming anyways. And he probably had to be involved in some moments he was really uncomfortable with. But he did it and he showed up. And then I had this crazy idea to move to Malad with my kids. And he went with me to look at the house, and I decided to buy the house. Then him and I, when the boys were with their dad, we went over and we cleaned the house, and he was helping me paint and do some things. And I'm really not always thinking things clear, and I mixed some bleach with some vinegar when I was cleaning and different things. Next thing I know, I was just seeing spots everywhere, and I was coming down with a really heavy migraine and I was going to throw up. And I said, Dad, we got to go. I got to go. You got to take me back home to Richmond because I was living with them at the time. So he took me home and I went down in what was my old room and I cried because I was going through divorce and I was having a hard time, anyways. And I remember just my head hurting and me crying and shaking. And it was one of the worst I've ever felt. And my dad was really religious, but he didn't give us blessings except the normal ones. But I asked, will you please give me a father's blessing? And to this day, that'll be one of the most beautiful moments in my life that he gave me that blessing in that moment. I was so low and I could feel his love so much. And I'm so grateful for you, Dad. I want to share one quick thing about my mom and dad. For one, my mom and dad were fortunate that they didn't fight about anything big. They didn't fight about somebody staying out all night or anything like that. But they had some pretty silly fights around our house. And my mom told me, oh, you never even saw the biggest fight. You know, before I was born or little, Wayne said, let's go pick the string beans out in the garden in Amalga. And they grew on a stalk and they took their bowls out and they picked these green beans for a long time together. And coming in, my mom made the comment she picked the most. And he said, oh, you did not. And she said, yes, I did. I did pick the most green beans. Oh, you did not. And she said it's the worst fight they had their whole marriage was over these green beans. And I'm grateful. There was a lot of bickering about little things like that, but luckily nothing big. And my dad was so loyal to my mom, and she was the only person he ever had eyes for. When he had his major stroke that caused his decline, they were in St. George, and someone said, well, who's going to go be down there? Well, I was already leaving to go down there. So it worked out perfect to me to be able to show up at the hospital. And when I showed up and saw him as they tested his vision and different things, there were some deficits that did get better with motion and seeing and things. But at that moment, he was very overwhelmed with emotion. And I got to see my dad be the most vulnerable I ever saw him be. And he cried and he shook and he was scared. He was really scared. And he told mom how scared he was. And he didn't know what was happening and he doesn't know what was going to happen to him. And my mom said to him something along the lines that, I love you, Wayne. I'm going to be here and I'm not going to leave you and I'm going to help you get through this. It's going to be okay and I'm going to be here. And I watched my mom take care of my dad for 9 years after that day. And she never, ever let go of that promise. And for him, she was the only one for me that I saw be important in his life. After that, she was his one and only. And I'm so grateful for their love story. I love you, Dad.
Hello, my name is Siazul Ariel. And I love playing Keepy Happy with Grandpa. And I won't play with him. And I play with him when it's morning and when it's dark. I love to play with him, and I want to play with him when I want to play with him. Thank you.
Um, this isn't really my memory to share, but my dad told me about this one time. I don't know if he was driving his own car or Wayne's, but he was listening to an Alice in Chains CD in there, and for some reason Wayne never bothered taking it out, and he listened to it the whole time he was out. But he clearly thought it was ridiculous because when he came back, I can't do a good impression of it. My dad nailed it, and I could totally see Wayne and my dad. But he started singing the rooster because he thought it was ridiculous that anyone would write a song about a rooster. It wasn't about a rooster.
I'm going to go fast. I know you're all standing and you're all hot and sorry for that, but my heart's warmed at all the people that are here to support us. And I know it's because you love my dad. My dad's just lovable. And I had some things in common with my dad that meant a lot. We had similar occupations, we went to the same mission, and I know that meant a lot to my dad. And we both love McDonald's. So I thought I would share a couple of our funny McDonald memories. We all have this memory and claim it happened to us because I think it did happen to all of us. That we went to the drive thru at McDonald's and realized Dad had been ordering big and nasties. And we go, "What are you doing, Dad?" He's like, What do you mean?" And so now we're wondering if he's did it on purpose or he just didn't remember that we all had corrected him and said they're big and tasties, not big and nasties. And then I remember one thing I really loved is he made friends with the people at McDonald's. And at Smithfield there's a fellow that has some special needs, and I remember he became my dad's friend somehow going down there to McDonald's. And then when they moved to St. George, he made friends with the people in McDonald's in St. George too. And one of the funniest conversations was one of his best friends that he made at McDonald's he didn't know was a woman. He thought it was a man. And so he had like gone and talked to this fellow for a long time. And finally my mom said, "Well, that's a woman, Wayne." And I don't know, it just was kind of a funny memory. He did funny things, but I love my dad. He was always there for me. And two, one of my favorite memories is I did ask for a blessing of comfort once, and that will also, like Jill, be one of my favorite memories of him, when I needed that. And I'm grateful for my mom. She's knocked it out of the park, right? She's taken care of my dad and been there for him, and we've been so grateful for that. And he absolutely loved my mom. And when she was ever gone for a bit, just, "Where's Donna? Where did she go? When is she coming back? Do you think she's thinking about me?" I mean, he just really, really just loved my mom always. And what a great example that is to me. So I love you, Dad. Thank you.
Is there anybody else wants to share anything? Right. Stand now or forever hold your peace. So, um, thanks everybody that shared everything. And, I do want to thank Dave Hansen personally, who spoke earlier. My family told me how often he'd come and visit, and the service that he showed always meant so much to my dad, to just have him show up and visit. I also want to thank their best friends, Nancy and Roger Smith, their family. If them or their family ever needed anything, we would always be there for you. They were always there for us. And you can't go through life without dear people like that in your life. And I thank you for all three of you for everything you guys have done for my parents. To one of the thoughts I was going to mention, Dave mentioned about my dad getting hit in the air. Growing up in Amalga, I just thought all farmers swore. I thought it was okay. The monks, I think, once taught me, a cow kicks you, you swear. That's just what happens. But my dad never swore. And he grew up there, and I never heard him swear. But that one time that Dave mentioned where he got hit with the ball in the ear and was bleeding, before he tried to act tough, he let one go. And it's the only 4-letter word I ever heard come out of his mouth. And I wish I could say the same, but it's something I've always admired about him. Another quick story that I know Mackenzie wanted to share, and she was worried she'd take it from Lisa, but then Lisa didn't share it. I'll share it real quick. My mom was able to go on a cruise with you can all tell Jill's the favorite, right? With Jill. They made him sound like he did a lot of service. He's never once done any of that for me. I'm not sure he has for Lisa, Neil, or Scott. So she got the best years for sure. But Jill helped mom go on a cruise, and they went to Hawaii for a long time. I think it was maybe last year. And she was gone 10 or 12 days or 14 days, a long time. And it was hard to know what to do with him while mom was gone, because it was hard for us to always be able to take care of him. And Lisa and Kurt, her husband, stepped up and said, we don't want to put him anywhere. We don't want to, temporarily bring him to our house. Like, annoyingly fought to have him at their house. And, I thought, why would you do that? And, this isn't going to go good. And they did great. And the short of the story is, every day he would ask about mom, like Kinsey would say, like, where is she? When's she coming back? And he'd sleep a lot. He'd sleep a lot during the day. He wouldn't wake up maybe all day long sometimes, sleep till 2 PM sometimes. And hopefully I get this story right. And then the night before she was coming home, Lisa let him know she's coming home tomorrow. And he remembered. And when she woke up at, I don't know, 7 or 8, he was already awake, cleaned up as much as he could, and fully dressed. And he hadn't done that for himself for quite a long time. And I know it meant a lot for all of us to just see and hear that and know that story. As many said, he was a quiet example, but he was definitely an example. He loved farming. He loved the outdoors as a young man. He loved sports trivia. If you knew Wayne, he tried to ask some trivia for my friends that ever came over to my house. They know Wayne as sports trivia Wayne. And we swear at least half the time he knew the answer. He would do the paper out in the morning, or he'd hear it, or he'd read about it, and he'd ask us the question, and we'd give him an answer. He'd say, yeah, I think that's right. You don't even know. He goes, oh, I heard on the radio this morning. I think that sounds right. And looking back, it was him, working hard to just bond with me and my friends, and it was really appreciated. He definitely wasn't a 20-question guy. He was a 20-minute full of questions guy. So if you ever met him for the first time, he found a way to corner you. If I brought a friend over, or anybody came to the house for the first time, we knew he's getting in the corner with Wayne for 20 minutes to find out who he's related to, where he lives, if he lives by that cousin, if he knew over there, and connect so many different dots. And it was one of the hardest things these last 10 years is he didn't have that capacity anymore to retain it or to remember it. And to see some of that slip away from him was really hard. His long-term memory was better than his short-term memory. So I'll bet you for 6 years straight in Clearfield. He asked me where Darren and Renlisbacher and Doug Hansen live. Over and over in Amalga. I go, Dad, I haven't been out in Amalga for a long time. I think they live here. I think they live here. I'd see him the next day, and he'd say, where's that Hansen live now? And but he cared about all of my friends in my life. He cared about me in my life. As you see with my family, a lot of them have got up. I'm so appreciative for the love he showed my family. Tina nailed it. He had a special relationship with her, and it was about teasing. It was about making her laugh, and she'd laugh, and she'd walk in, and he'd just have the biggest smile to see Tina. And I'd sneak in behind and say, I'm here too. He loved my son Cody. Cody will think he never loved him. He'll think he teased him. He did tease him. That's how he loved you. He teased everybody. He really loved once Cody got into horses. He loved Cody's ambition. There's not a person he didn't ask me more about than Cody. And if Cody didn't come to visit, that's all he would ask us. Where is that kid? When's he coming up? He loved you dearly. Mackenzie loved your happy spirit. Obviously loved your handshake. He loved your passion and your fun for life. And with Kylie, who spoke first, she's my baby girl. He knew it, and I think he loved her like he knew it was my baby girl. And I could sit from afar and watch the way he loved my kids and the way he watched all the other grandkids and how special the unique relationship he had with each one of them. Every one of them would tell you they were his favorite, and every one of you would tell him special things that they had with them. Quentin and Caleb probably lived the furthest away, and he probably just loved hearing about him from Neil when he could. I would hear mom and her dad bragging about him all the time. And they just were too far to experience some of this, but I know that they know how much that he loved them. He had a unique personality, as people said. One of the hardest and worst things to ever do with Dad was give him a gift. He may have been the most grateful, ungrateful man you ever knew. I'd give him a shirt, and his first response would be, I guess Ryan needs a new shirt. Everything you gave him, he basically felt you gave it to him because you needed to take it from him at some point. And he always was witty. It was another thing with Kylie that he loved, was she's about as witty as him. But he always had something smart to say. And it was how he expressed the love. And he loved you, Mom, more than anything. As you guys can tell, we grew up in Amalga. We still have a dear love for Amalga. She won't ever take this blame, but she's the one that got him to leave Amalga. She was a city folk from Cincinnati. It was too far away. She drove to town too much. But I think he was ready for some change too. But he loved you to do anything. One of the things I admired most about my dad was the love I saw that he had for his mother. And growing up out in Malga, he would do anything for me. As a little kid, I could see how much his mom meant to him, and the proper way that you should treat your mother and a woman. And I've always appreciated that. He had a ton of respect and admiration for his father, and I could see that as well. And him and his sister had a dear relationship, and that small little family left an example with us of how families should treat each other, and how the only thing that matters in life apparently is picking beans and how many you get. So, like many have said, he rarely said he loved you, but we all knew he loved us dearly. And so I didn't say I loved him enough. I started to in these later years, but he knew how much I loved him as well. Thank you all for coming out. We appreciate everything and the support you've shown to our family and the love you've shown our family. At the end of this, please stick around and visit as much as you want. And then around 4 o'clock, we're going to have French dip and food at the Mac Park in Smithfield. So anyone willing and wanting to come, please come join us for more time there. We're now going to listen to a song, Remember When, sung by Hunter Drysdale's grandson and Isom Ferris's friend. Then we'll move to the closing remarks by Bishop Stephen Moon. After his remarks, we're going to listen to just listen to the song over the speakers of God be with you till we meet again. And then we'll have a dedication of the grave by his one and only son-in-law, besides Alex, Kurt Ander.
You might need to help me set it up. Thank you. Just a moment. Remember when I was young, so were you, and time stood still. Love was all we knew. You were the first, so was I. Made love and then you cried. Remember when we vowed the vows and walked the walk, gave our hearts, made the start, and it was hard. We lived and learned life recurs. There was joy, there was hurt. Remember when? Remember when old ones died and new were born? Life was changed, disassembled, rearranged. We came together, fell apart. We broke each other's hearts. Remember when? Remember when the sound of little feet was the music? We danced to week, brought back the love. We found trust, that we never give it up. Remember when? Remember when 30 seems so old now, looking back, it's just a stepping stone to where we are, where we've been. Said we'd do it all again. Remember when? Remember when you said when we turn gray, when the children grow up and move away, we won't be sad, we'll be glad for all the life we've had. We'll remember when. Remember when.
Thank you. When I'm in the primary, I kneel down. But thank you for setting that up. Appreciate that. I'm Bishop Moon. I live 2 houses down from Wayne and Donna, and Alex and Jill and their family. And I just want them to know how much we love them, how much we appreciate you guys. So grateful for you to be our friends, our neighbors, have the opportunity to associate and to love each other. I've had several impressions here today. The first one I've had is that I'm just wondering, Donna, do you know Dave and Connie Wood? Yeah, I didn't know that you guys knew them. So my daughter married their youngest son, Aaron. You probably knew that. Oh, you grew up together. That's awesome. So we have connections with Amelga. We love the farm life. Both my grandpas were cattle ranchers, and I grew up in Wyoming, and my grandparents raised cattle and farmed and ranched and did all that. And I happened to luck out and marry a Utah girl, and so she brought me to Utah. That's what brought me here. So I just want you to know that one of the main purposes in this life is to learn to love. We came here to learn to love. My wife has a very fun and interesting profession. She's a certified nurse midwife, and she has assisted mothers in bringing over 1,000 babies into this world. But I testify to you that our birth into this world is not the beginning. And I testify to you that when we pass from this world, it is not the end. I feel Wayne here. I testify that the veil is thin, that they are among us. I feel their presence. I feel their love. I feel their strength. And I feel their joy. I testify that there is a God who is our Father, that loves us beyond anything we can understand. He provided us with an opportunity to come to this earth and to learn and to grow. And we shouted for joy when Jesus Christ stepped forward and said, "Here am I, send me." Because of him, he created this earth for us. Because of him, he overcame death. Because of him, we will all be resurrected. And because of him, I testify that we all have the opportunity to live together forever as families. I testify that Jesus Christ did suffer and bleed and die for each and every one of us, that he's real and he loves us so much he did that as an innocent person. He did that for each of us, me and you, and for Wayne and Donna. I know that he lives. I bear you this testimony in the name of our Lord and our Savior, even Jesus Christ. Amen.
God be with you till we meet again. By his counsels God uphold you, with his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. When life's pebbles they confound you, put his arms unfailing round you. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, till we meet. God be with you till we meet God be with you till we meet again. Keep love's banner floating o'er you. Smite death's threatening wave before you. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet, till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, till we meet. God be with you. God be with you. God be with you till we meet
Our Father in heaven, by the authority of the Melchizedek priesthood, I dedicate and consecrate this plot as the resting place for the body of Theodore Wayne Jorgensen until that day of resurrection when the body and the spirit will be reunited. We thank thee, Father, for everything which thou hast given us. We pray that that we can have the Holy Ghost comfort us and be a part of our lives. We pray that this site will forever be remembered as a place of solace, of respect, and sacred. That those who come here will feel the spirit of Wayne and those he loved that are around him. We pray that he will always be waiting for those that loved him and those he loved until that day. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
We would invite pallbearers and those with flowers that would like to place their boutonnieres on the casket as a final tribute.